Yeah, how you going? Welcome to the show, welcome to the day, welcome to the 1st of March. Well, 9 months ago, 10 months ago, we're going back to the Christmas. You're starting to do your savings already. I saw the other day, we were a day after Christmas and we started to get the Easter gear. Now, I wonder when we will start the Christmas advertising. Why do they advertise so early? Just to get the kids on the parents' side to say, I want this. Now, the amount of electronics these days that are being sold, from the mobile phone through the iPad, the iPhone, and everything like that, there's mechanisms inside it that are from the ground. This is my LG. I've had it about 5 years now. It was one of the first touch phones. See, it's slides up. It has the keypad on it. Now, on the keypad is my QWERTY. Now, I say, well, the QWERTY comes back from the typewriter. Now, remember the old days when you used to go to the bank or go to wherever, who has to fill out a form, and they'd put it in the typewriter and they'd type it into the typewriter and they'd still have a form. And it'll be, and just in case they needed 2 copies, they had carbon copy paper on the outside. So now, what do we have? They said we'd have the new age of computers and become paperless. Now, I think we're going through as many truths as we ever did before. Now, if we went backwards to the days of using typewriters again and used the paper through the typewriter, we'd be using the same amount of papers as we do today. Because every time we wanted something to show someone, as opposed to sending it through our computer, more times out of 10, they want to see a paper copy with a real signature on it. Now, until they get a real signature put on these computers, that they can't be copied or pasted or that type of thing, well, it won't happen. It won't happen in my lifetime. Now, we also have the schools. Now, in schools these days, something has to take the place of something for it to happen. Now, we have computer studies. Now, if we didn't have computer studies in the old days, what would we be doing? History? History is not so much a subject these days. Why do we need to know about the past when we need to know about the future? Is the future that far away? How far is the future away from us? Well, I just spoke 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Is that 10 seconds? I don't think so. Well, I've gone 10 seconds into the future. Now we're talking about the future. Have you got a future? We've all got a future, but we don't have a future, do we? Because the future is already gone. We're outliving the future. There is no such thing as a future. It just means that, well, instead of saying future, we'll say, let's see what happens tomorrow. Because today's just gone, is almost over. Hour and 10 minutes and the day will be over. Then we'll be on to the 2nd of March instead of the 1st of March. Days. Now we get back to school. So, with all these computer studies and that, and engineers, and because they start doing computer stuff when they're 2, 3, 4. So, what used to be a hobby, so therefore, the only thing that could take its place if we weren't and take away the history or the English or those subjects in the past, then it has to be the sport. Now, whilst I enjoy the sport, one of the things I'm noticing in sport is there's a lot of money in the high level areas of sport which kind of puts kids in the back seat of things to say, well, I won't make it that far, so I'll go back to the computer studies. So therefore they lose out on the physical side of things. I played football, I played cricket. My biggest sport was bowling. They used to say bowling wasn't a sport as much as it is a hobby. But you try and bowl 9 games in a row in one day to know how far you can go to get an average of 200 per game, and to sustain that over 4 days. 4 days of bowling. Now, they say for football, they may play 2 or 3 games over a weekend to get a winner, because they have or they might play 4 games, but they shorten the time so that the last game is actually a full game, full time. But we still get back to losing out on subjects in school because we've now got computers. Now, do we have to go? Now, they've said they're going to increase the amount of money put forward to schools to increase the ability for kids to learn how to read English. Now, how would they then use that money to heighten the English for people? Do you think maybe you should be going back to the parents and say to them, start talking English instead of doing emails? I've seen someone do an email to the kids because the mum's sitting in the lounge room, daughter's in her bedroom. Oh, mum's in the lounge room, daughter's in the bedroom, and because she's got the door closed, she sends an email instead of knocking on the door to say, "Come here, it's tea time." That's what we talk about computers. This is what computer does. Have you ever had a ridiculous situation you've seen where someone's actually used the phone or the email system to alleviate the need to get up and do it? Well, anyway, my guest today is a guy named John Kongos. I suppose that's how you would say it. And the song we're going to have today, it's He's Gonna Step on You Again. Now, I haven't actually played it, so I haven't heard it before, I have, because I've got the LP for it. Now, I'll tell you more about John Kongos after the song has been played. So here's John Kongos. He's going to step on you again. Yeah, it's a good song, this. Well, that was John Kongos. Now, it was released in 1971. Now, it says here, it is cited in the Guinness Book of Records as being the first song to have used a sample. Not sure what is meant by it, but it says, maybe I should go to this, a citation sample. To ensure Wikipedia content is verifiable, anyone may question an uncited claim by inserting a citation needed. But because there was no citation placed in there, it means it is verified. So it says, however, according to the sleeve note of the CD reissue of Kongo's album, it is actually tape loop of African drumming, and the use of tape loops and instruments being pre-recorded samples such as mellotron, optogan were all established by this time. It is likely that this record was confused with Burundi Black by Mike Stevenson, which sampled an ensemble of tambours from the album Musique du Burundi, due to it being released in the same year and spending the same amount of time in the charts. On 22nd of May, I got something coming in. I think I got a mouse. There's a mouse in here somewhere. Got a mouse in here. On 22nd of May 1971, the song entered the UK singles chart, reached number 4 and spent 14 weeks on the charts. The follow-up release in the same year, Taklashi Man, also peaked at number 4. Now, I'll tell you more about this now. It was a single from the album Kongos. Now, it does say, singles chronology, there's nothing to say, well, they're the writers. The writers of the song was John Kongos and Christos Demetrio. Now, there's nothing to say more about him as a band or who else did the music. I assume it was done on his own. Now, John Kongos was born 6th of August 1945, Johannesburg, South Africa. Is a singer-songwriter. He is best known for his 1971 top hit single, He's Gonna Step on You Again. Having had success in South Africa in the early 1960s with his band Johnny and G-Men, as well as solo artist Kongos went to the UK to pursue his musical career. His first UK-based group, Floribunda Rose, formed in April 1967, comprised of British musicians Pete Clifford, guitar, born Peter William Frederick Clifford, 10th of May 1943, and Jack Russell. Well, Jack Russell was named after the dog, or the dog was named after him. So, you have to go on Wikipedia, check out John Kongos and his song, and that was his song. Now, we were talking earlier on about mobile phones. Now, what I want to talk about is money. For me to use this phone, it costs me $29 a month for $150 worth of calls and 30 megabytes of downloads if I need to use the downloads on the phone. Now, for me to upgrade the phone, I can't get the same plan, and I have to upgrade to a $49 cap plan to get a better phone. Although I like the phone, it is, but I did suggest that because my kids have also got iPhones and they've got different applications that they can put on it that I can't put on this, and I can't get Wi-Fi on this. Therefore, I asked them, can I upgrade? Now, one of the situations we are having today is kids are finding out they are financially broke. Now, the only way they can get out of being financially broke is to rely back on the parents, which means that the parents have now got to earn that much more money to cover the losses the kids are gaining. Now, from the internet to the phone bill to the power that's been used to enable the phone or computer to use, it adds up to be a phenomenal amount of money being spent on technology by kids who are still at school, high school, and now it's been put on to kids at primary school, because they're saying that primary school kids need to have the education of computers. Our government gave each one of the high school students their own laptop to use for school. Now, can you imagine the costs being burdened onto the families for those computers? Because with those computers, even though they you can go Wi-Fi, you've still got to pay a provider for the internet. You got to pay for the power it uses, and if there's anything goes wrong through school, or you leave early, or you don't do your full school, you got to give that computer back. Now, if you're on a plan as a result of that computer, you still got to pay out that plan for the entirety of the plan being contracted for. Now, how do we then establish the fact that computers and technology is not taking over our kids? We need to go back a step and take those computers back off those kids and let them do school as school should be done, through writing down material, because the whole idea is if you're in a classroom and you're looking at the blackboard to see what's being put forward to as a class, or a subject, and you have to read it, to write it, to read it again. That's 3 principles that you've done to gain knowledge of the subject at hand. It's like the old days of when the first printer come out, or the first photocopy come out, and he used to have this funny looking paper, and it used to smell really funny. That was the start of the technology and start of our paper usage. But I'm still thinking that we need to take a step back and let the kids be kids as they should be. Let them play outside. Let them play on a swing. Now, here's what happened at me at school. At school, they used to have me in colour groups. It used to be yellow, blue, red, and green. And whichever colour came up on the day would represent what you did for the day. Now, on particular days, you'd have to do garbage duties. That is, at lunchtime, you'd spend 10 minutes going around the school, picking up rubbish and putting it in the bin. Now, on this day, the teacher was really hot. The teacher thought it would be a really good idea for me to go to the shop and get him an ice cream. Now, in those days, it wasn't so much the paddle pops and drumsticks. It was more the cans of ice cream. And they would have the cones. And he asked me to go to the shop and buy him an ice cream. Now, it's not very often you actually leave the school or allowed to leave the school without permission. Now, if you left school without permission, you'd have to come back and you'd get the strap. I got a strap once, and it was this thick. It was a bit of a wadding of an old fan belt. And they used to make you sit down and put your hands on your knees and smack you so that if you moved your hands, it'd hit your knees and it'd hurt twice as much. So getting back to getting the ice cream. So he's given me the money to go and buy him an ice cream cone. So I've gone over and I said, I want the ice cream for the teacher. As I was walking back, there's 2 scoops on there. And as I was going back, because it was so hot and melting, the top of the ice cream was starting to move north or south, east or west, and starting to slide off the ice cream. So I had to keep on pushing it back on. And by the time I got there, the top of the ice cream had fallen on the ground. And I thought, so I won't get into trouble for licking the ice cream or taking the ice cream and licking it. I put the lump back on there, so he had an ice cream with the dirt on there. Did I get in trouble? No. But I didn't get to go to the shops and buy him an ice cream again. Don't know why. That's my joke for the day. That's my funny story for the day. I suppose there's a lesson to be learnt in that. I suppose the lesson is that the teacher, if he wants an ice cream, and he doesn't want to watch people doing garbage duties, get a relief and go to the shops yourself. Yeah. I'm sorry about the turkey. I'm being the cocky for the day. So that's my show today. And now what we've established is, Alan, as much as I like to watch your show, let's see how well we can actually go out in the streets and ask someone to throw their phone in the bin. And then ask the phone companies not to charge them anymore for the loss of the phone. It's one of those things. Come on, Alan, let's start a program of let's get kids back onto sport or being more sociable, because there's a lot of sociability on these systems. I know. I like watching it. There's always been the ability of gaining love elsewhere. And we'll talk about that tomorrow. Alright, so 1st of March 2013, 11:10 or 23:10 for the sailors. I'm pretty sure there's a mouse in here. And I'll catch you again on Monday. Love is all. Bye.